The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max NXT Review.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling to the Max, the NXT May 24th, 2017 edition for you guys. We are here brought to you by W2Mnet.com. Of course, that's a place where you go find all our great content and a lot more. Don't forget to also go subscribe, rate, and review at the Wrestling to the Max feed. You can find that on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Plus, if you love everything over there at the W2Mnet.com family, also don't forget you can also go subscribe and rate and review as well at the W2M Network. Go check that out too. I am Gary Vaughan. Along with me is our host, Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And Paul, I mean, this is a episode that I think I don't know how much we can get into because of the fact this is, of course, one of those post-TakeOver NXTs where really this took place before NXT TakeOver Chicago, but still some interesting things and some actual kind of cool matches before that big show. I kind of am jealous a little bit that these guys over there in Chicago got to see all these, great talent.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on here that we can dig into a little bit, but as Gary just said, most of this show is recap videos of all the big happenings from NXT TakeOver Chicago, which if you haven't watched yet, I would highly advise to go find some time, sit down in front of the couch, grab some snacks, and just enjoy a great show, because it was awesome. But yeah. They open this show with Aleister Black taking on Curt Hawkins. You even get a nice little video package showing that Aleister Black showed up on WWE Main Event to absolutely destroy Curt Hawkins there, and now he's looking for a bit of revenge. And Curt gets in a few blows here or there, but it's all Aleister Black throwing kicks, and a black mass later, he's the big winner here.
The Curt Hawkins should have known better than to mess with Aleister Black. If I could say it. I think this is kind of something we figure, every time you see Curt Hawkins, you just think, okay, good. It's your day to lose against this guy. Poor Curt Hawkins. I mean, he came in, he came back, and Jinder Mahal came back. He's jobbing out. Jinder Mahal's WWE champion. It's kind of weird how that works out. But it does. But anyway, focusing on Curt Hawkins himself. I think it's great that they actually had that crossover, Paul. I mean, I really don't ever think about main event anymore. I don't know about you. Mm-hmm. It's in the back of my mind every once in a while, but really, I don't watch it on a weekly basis. But I am very excited that they do have that crossover opportunity for guys like this. And Aleister Black, in his very young career in NXT, has already got the crowds going, has got a lot of people already behind him, and him beating Curt Hawkins in a pre-show to NXT TakeOver, and of course just this episode alone, is a good thing. I mean, it shows that this guy is not just there to beat up on no names in NXT. He can take on a veteran.
I could watch him murder people forever, honestly. There's just so much fun about this act, from the entrance to the way he works. Like, it's very deliberate. It's very mind gamey in a way, especially with the springboard moonsault into the meditation position, and just like the way he throws kick differently to me as Aleister Black than he does as Tommy End. Tommy End, it was all about just violence. In this, it's about setting you up to murder you later, and he still throws them with that same ferocity. But it feels like there's more of a point to them instead of just, hey, I'm setting you up to kill you every time. Now I'm setting you up to murder you with my big kick at the end. And there's, I don't know, like the way he just holds himself in this regard as Aleister Black is very, very different and very captivating.
That's cool to know. I mean, really, and I wasn't, following him as he was at Tommy End, and it's very interesting to me. I kind of look at the guy like Tommaso Ciampa as well, as been a guy in that, I don't know, maybe similar format, but when I've seen him in the past, his, style was just a little bit different than it was exactly here in NXT as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that sometimes, NXT brings something out differently in these guys, and they kind of have to because they're training them in the WB style. They're giving them an opportunity to kind of, work something new into their offense or style and change different things up. And you're right about this and about Aleister Black. And I mean, I'm so happy for this guy. I'm happy that, this is coming for him. But I think also with him being such a big name on the indie circuit, it's only a given that this guy is going to get opportunities pretty soon in NXT. And I mean, he's looking great. I think they're giving him opportunities, especially to face guys like, Curt Hawkins. Yeah, sure, he may job out, but you know what? He's a seasoned veteran, and he's a great guy to be in the ring with, especially someone who's been in the WWE for quite a long time and knows the style, and it's a good, I guess you'd call a sparring partner if you want to say it that way. And it's good stuff, and I'm excited, Paul, about Aleister Black. And I know we're still young, and he may have a year here, unless they call him up some way somehow. I think we still have at least a year, if may not more, in NXT with him, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I want to buy a T-shirt eventually. Come on, it's going to be so cool. I can't wait to see what kind of style of T-shirts are come out with him.
I wager a lot of his tattoos and stuff like that will end up as shirt logos or something like that for him, but. There's a lot to do with Alistair and NXT if they want to. They obviously don't have to, depending on how quickly they think the style is catching, because the top of NXT is so loaded, it's very possible Alistair might get out of here without ever challenging for the NXT Championship or something like that. Even though we appear to be setting up for a different kind of matchup, which we will talk about in the future, because I was reading spoilers today, and I'm now getting it mixed up with what we actually watched. So. So, like I said, there's a lot of recap on here. If you want to hear our thoughts on the actual NXT TakeOver Chicago itself, me, Gary, and Sean did a show on Sunday. It's out there for you to download at your convenience if you wish to hear our thoughts on it, so I'm going to skip a lot of this. We do, however, get an Umbra Moon promo discussing how upset she was that she was injured, how she wanted to be in Chicago, because obviously a lot of these girls have a lot of previous experience working in Chicago, which is where Shimmer is headquartered, and a lot of other things going on here. But, of course, she promises that she'll be back, she'll be raring to go, and she still wants to be the one to beat Asuka, which I am all down for. We also get an interview with Asuka after her title defense, saying that there still isn't anybody ready that can go toe-to-toe with her. And Roderick Strong also gets an interview after his match and some clips, saying that he's overcome the odds his entire life, but it's not just about him anymore, it's about his family, and nothing is going to stop him from getting the NXT Championship. So, Strong obviously posturing for a title shot. Asuka posturing for a title shot. You like all these promos, Gary?
Yeah, these promos were, good to have, especially on a show, like this. It's kind of just a recap show for the most part. Mm-hmm. I will start with the Umbra Moon stuff. I think that's good. I'm glad that they still have her having a voice. We don't want to forget about her. We don't want to put her on the side, because I think they still want to keep her in that frame of being in the championship hunt. Mm-hmm. And, kind of keeping her off NXT for a month, 2 months would kind of hurt that, I think. And so it's good. I'm glad, and I think still good stuff coming from her. I think Asuka, cutting these promos is good for her as well. It's giving her more opportunities to train, to speak the English. I can't even talk myself. I don't know how to speak I wish I knew how to speak the English language. Someone teach me. But anyway, I think it's great. I mean, that's something else that, we kind of take for granted a lot, and the understanding that, this is training, and this is giving her an opportunity to kind of be in front of a live camera, in front of a live mic, and to speak a language that she's still trying to figure out, which it's very hard. So I think that's a great thing as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what, takes place because, of the fact that, you have a Japanese superstar who, once again, can show great ability, do all these great things. Kind of like we talked about Nakamura in the past. Mm-hmm. What kind of things can he do? Can he speak the language? He's amazing in the ring, but can he speak the language well enough to get over with the fans, to have that connection? And I think slowly but surely it's happening for Asuka. And I think already just the ring work is already working alone. So that's good stuff. And the way they are transforming the character, I think, is great, as we've seen in the past few weeks. So I think the promo was right, and it gives her an opportunity to still say, look, you guys keep putting people in front of me. I just knock them down. Who's next? And the question I have for you, Paul, is do you think that person is on this roster yet? Or do you think it's one of these newcomers, maybe like was it Io
Shirai or Kairi Hojo or any of these other women they're going to bring in? I don't have a great answer for you there, because the answer is maybe. We keep talking about Asuka being brought up to the main roster seemingly any day now, and they keep holding back for reasons, whether Umbra Moon's injury had something to do with that, or whether other injuries have had something to do with that in the past. And she's just sort of been here doing awesome and looking for that person seemingly who can beat her. And she's not here yet, and I think it's going to be Umbra Moon. You obviously have Brooklyn coming up soon for these guys, and that's essentially NXT's WrestleMania. So I would wager it's going to be Asuka and Umbra Moon again 1-on-1, unless the Mae Young Classic now is going to be a way to crown a new number one contender or something like that going forward. Since we still don't have a ton of details on that yet, other than that they're going to tape on July 13th and 14th. So the answer is I don't know. I think so. I still think Umbra Moon's getting the championship.
Yeah, and I don't think you're far off on that. I think that's what they've been setting the story up, right? I mean, it's this journey. It's this process that she's had to go through and overcome so many things, overcome other people getting in the way, overcoming an injury and all this stuff, having to always sit back and watch and not get the opportunity to actually be the champion for, one time really is all she's gotten. So I think it's a good story, and I think it actually is not a bad idea. And then you can move Asuka to the main roster. Then you could have Umbra Moon as new champion and face off against whoever does win the Mae Young Classic. So I think that's a solid way to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. They've clearly had big plans for her. Really, I think since she showed up on the main roster and all the hype packages and everything like that. So I think it's just a matter of time for Miss Moon before she's wearing that NXT title around her waist. Let's talk about the debut of the Velveteen Dream. Just the Velveteen Dream. No more Patrick Clark, according to announcers and ring introductions and all that good stuff, as he takes on Robert Anthony. This is basically a squash. Velveteen Dream gets in the hits, I guess is what's going to be for him. I want to like this guy. He has a lot of potential still, but I don't think it's there yet. And clearly, I mean, we're going to need to see more as far as building up the character to know exactly what he is. Because so far, all we got is he's kind of this over-the-top, slightly effeminate, very ostentatious wrestler who can jump out of the building with a top rope elbow drop. So that's what he uses as his finisher, seemingly. What'd you think about the Velveteen Dream, though, Gary?
It sounds like a yogurt.
YoPlay presents Velveteen Dream.
Velveteen Dream, yeah, delicious. Buy it now for only $5.99. But anyway, I mean, I think when it comes to, I guess we'll call him Velveteen Dream. That's what they call him. I still want to call him Patrick Clark. I think like you. I think it's oh, come on, you've got to like this guy. Come on. I mean, he's been around. He's trying his hardest, and sure, you can see that, but there's something missing. And I can't put my finger on it. I really don't understand why. I just don't feel that connection, and I just kind of see it as a surface character. It's not very deep. He's not really giving you enough to grasp onto to really feel like you know the character or really should even care about the character. Going from there, though, I think that they can do more. I think they can work on this. This is new, so it's hard to sit here and say it's terrible, and then in 6 months, me being gushing about how great the Velveteen Dream is.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see if that happens, or if I'm saying, "Oh God, this is the Drifter all over again." But I think the gimmick's not terrible. I understand there's some success in the indie circuit with guys like Dalton Castle who kind of have that a little bit, kind of play that effeminate character to an extent. Well, Dalton Castle is more mysterious and effeminate, but you can still get those gestures from him. And I think the same way with here at the Velveteen Dream. His offense isn't so exciting either. That's another problem for me. It's okay. Yeah. But it's not exciting. It has no flash really to really just, oh my goodness, because come on, a finisher being the elbow drop, yay. And I'm sorry, just that's not exciting. So we'll see. I hate to sit here and judge, after one performance from the guy, at least on TV. But I have a little fear for what's going to happen for him in the future.
I think we need promos, whether they're pre-taped or whatever. You have to dig into the gimmick, because the gimmick is going to be what's going to make or break him, really. Because, like you said, his wrestling isn't anything over the top or special that really makes him stick out, even though I think he's insanely athletic. Like, height and jumping ability and all these other things that he can do in the ring that you would attribute to being a good athlete, he could certainly do very well. And I think that's sort of the flash and pizzazz, but what he's doing, Thesz presses and neck breakers and elbow drops, it's nothing like, in this day and age, what you would consider super exciting. If we were back in the 90s or the 80s, maybe. But, the 80s for sure, but 90s maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And, in the 90s, you can get away with just having a character and having an okay moveset and maybe one great finisher, and people will love you forever. And that's wonderful. But we're not in that time, and people are looking for flashy. They're looking for these big moves or something that's over the top to where they're in love with it and they don't care what you do. It just really, from the promos I've seen from the Velveteen Dream or Patrick Clark, it's just really not connecting with me there. I hope he's gotten better. I really, really do. I just, man, it for me right now, it looks like an uphill battle. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still willing to give him a chance, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess, what's going to come along for him. Pete Dunne gets an interview, talks about how Tyler Bate was living a dream with the championship that was actually his, and now all of that is his since he beat him in that incredible match at TakeOver. Bobby Roode also gets an interview saying that nobody should be surprised that he won. Itami is, been very injured. He's, so he hadn't been around so much he didn't even know he was still on the roster. And that just Itami plain isn't in his league. So Bobby's going to go home and relax and lay by his pool and enjoy some time off. And when he returns, he will decide who the challenger is for the next TakeOver. And it looks like the time off isn't going to last very long, because we're already going to get a glorious celebration from him next week on NXT. And all that leads us right into our main event as Drew McIntyre takes on Wesley Blake, who has dropped all the over-the-topness and has gone to a Southern brawler, essentially, as he is from San Antonio, Texas. I thought this was really fun, right? Wesley Blake, very, he's what you expect from a Southern brawler from the throwback eras of lariats and big punches and Smash Mouth style, and that works very well with Drew here, who is Smash Mouth in a independent sense, with the big kicks and the big throws and all the stuff that you would attribute to, I think, big guys on the independent scene these days. And he ends up getting the victory with a Claymore. But I mean, this goes 9 minutes. I really enjoyed this, actually.
I did too, and to be honest with you, I kind of found myself sitting here saying, "Wow, this is better than I really was going to give it credit for." I thought it was just going to be, 3 or 4 minutes, and then it's over. We got Drew McIntyre with another win, and that's not the way it worked out. And I'm so happy for Wesley Blake that he's getting this opportunity to really showcase what he's going to do and kind of showcase this other side of him that can maybe get fans behind him or hate him, whatever they want to feel about him. I think at least he's giving them something to get excited about and not just be the same old same and rehash what he's already done. So I'm excited about that for Wesley Blake. I'm also excited what's going on with Drew McIntyre. I think in this match what was great is, selling the arm. That really worked here because there were several times in this match, especially when, with Wesley Blake doing the crossface. I was a little surprised, to get a chance to see the crossface from him. Mm-hmm. And the pressure he put on Drew McIntyre, you kind of, for a minute, honestly thought to yourself, wow, there's been a lot of damage done to that arm already. How is he not going to tap, especially to the crossface? And so that was a really big moment. I think it made it feel even special, more special than it already was. And with the win the way it was, I mean, what a sick Claymore that was. It just, of course, you got to give credit to Wesley Blake for selling it over the top. So I think great, for a main event for an NXT would probably be what I would describe it for. Let's be honest. A lot of times when we have these post TakeOver NXTs, they'll give you 3 matches, usually nothing to go home and say yay. This one was actually one that I could say, that was great. I really enjoyed it. It was just a lot of fun. Maybe, it wasn't a 5-star match, but hey, it was great.
No, I mean, obviously this didn't need to be 5 stars. 2 3/4 maybe is what I would give it. Mm-hmm. Smash Mouth for sure is what I would call this, and it's a lot of fun in getting there. And like you said, I hope this works out for Wesley Blake. I was always a much bigger fan of Buddy Murphy in that tag team, so hopefully they're working on something for him too, because I think he's I think he's a better wrestler, but Blake really shows you something here to try to change your mind on that. So props to him and props to Drew for putting on this awesome match, and that is all she wrote for NXT, Gary.
Yeah, definitely. And, once again, if you haven't checked out this NXT, hey, at least go check out the main event. It was, like we said, a lot of fun. Go, enjoy that at least. Mm-hmm. But yeah, of course, we'll be back next week with some NXT for you guys. Of course, Paul just told you we're going to have a glorious celebration. So I am looking forward to that, and Bobby Roode showcasing himself like always, and all the other great stuff that'll come into tow. But yes, of course, don't forget to go check out all our other great reviews. You can either go to W2Mnet.com and go check it out there, or of course you can go and wherever you want to go, like maybe go to Apple Podcasts and go find our podcast there. Of course, you can also go find it at many other places where podcasts are available. Don't forget to go subscribe, rate, and review at Wrestling to the Max. And of course, if you love everything at W2Mnet.com, once again, the W2M Network is your home. We appreciate you joining us tonight, and we will see you guys later.
Have a good one, guys.